In March 1970, Japan Airlines Flight 351 took off from Tokyo's Haneda Airport on what was expected to be a routine domestic flight to Fukuoka. The flight had 122 passengers, including tourists, businessmen, university students, doctors attending medical conferences, and notable individuals like a high-ranking Pepsi executive, a talented bass player from an up-and-coming rock band, Hadaka no Rarizu, and a Roman Catholic priest from New York. Little did they know that their journey was about to take a harrowing turn. Approximately 10 minutes into the flight, as the plane flew over the southern face of Mount Fuji at an altitude of 31,000 feet, a young Japanese man named Takamaro Tamiya rose from his seat and made a startling announcement. He was hijacking the plane. Surprisingly, this announcement did not immediately induce terror or panic among the passengers and crew. In 1970, airline hijackings were not yet illegal, and the general attitude toward such incidents was different from today's. However, the situation escalated rapidly when Tamiya brandished a samurai sword, demonstrating his seriousness. Tamiya was not alone in this hijacking endeavor. He had accomplices among the university students on board. These students, most of them still in their early years at prestigious institutions like Tokyo and Kyoto universities, were armed with samurai swords, pistols, and even homemade pipe bombs. This unexpected turn of events left passengers confused and terrified. Some students began attempting to break into the cockpit, while others followed Tamiya's orders to tie male passengers to their seats. This eclectic mix of hijackers, driven by radical ideologies, now had full control of Japan Airlines Flight 351. The lax airline security of 1970 allowed these weapons on board, and the hijackers had a clear objective in mind: to fly the plane to Havana, Cuba. Their plan was to make a grand political statement by hijacking a Japanese passenger airliner and diverting it to Cuba, a communist stronghold under Fidel Castro's leadership. As members of the Japanese Red Army faction, a communist militant group aiming to overthrow the Japanese government and monarchy, they sought specialized military training in Cuba for their impending revolutionary war in Japan. They also hoped to inspire rebellion across Asia and start a global revolution through terror and violence. These 9 young men had been carefully selected and scouted from leftist student groups. Their first lapse in judgment came when they realized that the plane, a Boeing 727, was not designed for long-distance travel. It simply could not cross the Pacific Ocean to reach Cuba. Furthermore, they were running out of fuel, with only enough to reach their original destination, Fukuoka. This forced them to reconsider their plan. Japan Airlines Flight 351 landed in Fukuoka. Seniors, women, and children, numbering 23 altogether, were allowed to leave the plane in exchange for more fuel before the Yodo departed for Pyongyang. The capital of North Korea was believed to be the intended destination. However, authorities from Japan and South Korea decided to redirect the flight to Seoul to apprehend the hijackers. To make the plan work, Gimpo Airport had to be disguised as a North Korean airport. North Korean flags, military uniforms, and the removal of South Korean and foreign aircraft were part of the deception. Upon landing, the hijackers sensed something was amiss. Various reports suggest they might have spotted an American airliner or cars, raising their doubts. Consequently, the ruse failed, and the hijackers, along with hostages, remained on the plane. Negotiations were challenging due to the lack of direct communication between Japan and North Korea. North Korea assured a safe return of the plane and its occupants to Tokyo. Inside the plane, conditions deteriorated with power outages and malfunctioning toilets. A resolution was reached when the hijackers agreed to release the passengers in exchange for Japanese Vice Minister for Transport Yamamura Shinjiro as a hostage. The crew faced challenges such as lack of maps and communication issues with Pyongyang. As night fell, the skilled captain landed on a small airstrip near Pyongyang. The flight concluded safely on April 3rd at 1921. With the crew returning to Japan, the hijackers, who had hoped to travel to Cuba, were detained by North Korea. Instead of being trained and returned, they were indoctrinated with Juche ideology and utilized for DPRK's diplomatic and espionage purposes. One member of the group, Yoshido Kintaro, was reported dead in 1985 under questionable circumstances, likely due to ideological disagreements. Another member, Okamoto Takeshi, reportedly died while attempting to escape North Korea. Most group members adapted to their new roles in North Korea, dedicated to the global revolution led by the Kim Il-sungist ideology.